All right, guys, welcome to Just a Little Salt, episode 2. I've got Firefighter Fenton with me. Thank you so much for agreeing to do this, by the way.
Absolutely, man. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, right off the bat, just explain who you are, your story, and all that.
Yeah, my name's Brent. I've been a firefighter for I'm in the half years part now of my career, 21 and a half years, just because it's winding down. um, but yeah, I'm a firefighter, paramedic. I'm married. Been married for 15 years. I got 4 kids. Um, I'm currently Mr. Mom right now at home because my wife's gone on a cruise for 9 days. So it's me at the helm by myself with all 4 kids. We homeschool too, so I'm doing that too. So it's it's an adventure. Um, yeah, and some of you may know me from the internet because I wear a fake mustache and make funny videos.
About that fake mustache, real quick, who do you think has the better one?
Oh, dude. Well, yours, yours for sure, dude. I thought you shaved it.
No. So I shaved it last year for charity. So I
Okay.
posted that video just kind of mess with people. I haven't
Yeah.
shaved it since then, and I will not. I've got to
Oh,
keep it now. Yeah.
I was gonna say, I'm like, dang, man, you grow that thing quick. But
Well, going into that, your mustache inspired my mustache. I mean, I've been watching your videos for years and years. You've been doing it a while. You've often joked saying your accents and the most famous mustache in the business. How much of the character is performance versus the real Brent Fenton?
Um, I would say it's 100% polar opposite. Yeah, the character. I mean, everybody always jokes because like whenever if you're ever around me and I throw the mustache on, it's just like instantly like, all right, morons, and it just like it's like the switch flips on and I get into that character for whatever reason. But yeah, no, very very different than who I'm pretty usually when people meet me, they're like, "Man, you're so much quieter than your character." It's kind of funny. The first year that I went to FDIC, like 4 years ago, I think it was, with Fire Department Coffee. This guy Jake, he works for Fire Department Coffee. He does he's the scientist behind it all. But anyway, him and I were rooming together. And we roomed together for a week. We had a great time. And we were driving to the airport after. And he's like, dude, I got to be honest. I'm not going to lie. When I found out I was rooming with you, I was just like, oh, great. This is going to be just a nightmare week because he thought that the character was just who I was, like who I am on camera is who I am off camera. He's like, I'm pleasantly surprised and very happy to say that I had a great time and you are nothing like your character. I was like, oh, well, thanks, man.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
relate to that completely. My wife teases me all the time. She's like, if people online only knew you're the exact opposite of who you portray, like I'm, pretty much introverted,
Yeah.
we spend our whole day at work, talking to random strangers. So when I get home, I really don't want to do that again.
Oh,
So that's
yeah.
just who I am.
I always tell my wife always jokes because she's definitely an introvert, but I'm I would say I'm an introvert trapped in an extrovert's body, if you will. Like I can walk into a room and talk to anybody and do whatever and be extroverted if I need to be.
Yep.
But typically if I go somewhere where I don't know anybody, um, unless it's like required, I'm just gonna slide in against the wall and kind of be a wallflower and just hang out.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That's
Survey the
me.
room, all that stuff. So
So, for those that are new here, I'm sure most of you all know the music he does, the parody videos and everything. I think one of the first ones you did was "My Knee Hurts Now," correct?
that is the first one. Yep.
Yep. So talking about all those parody songs you've done, any plans in the future to make like a parody music album?
Oh, dude, I would love to. I would actually love to. I've always music has always been like a passion of mine. That's actually how my wife and I met, was doing music. But music has always been a passion of mine, and I've kicked around that idea of making an album, and like an album that is compiled of like all genres, not just rock or country or whatever, anything. Like I want to make like a hip hop song, a freaking like
Kind of like Weird Al, man.
yeah,
Weird
dude,
Al.
dude.
Remember him?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, dude. It was for sure my inspiration. I mean, when I was in like junior high and I heard him do Amish Paradise, I was like, this is it. This is what I want to do.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. So I do some research about who I'm interviewing. That way I don't go in blind.
Yeah.
I think I saw somewhere you learned to play guitar. Is that correct?
Yep, I do. I play guitar. I play guitar. I play the bass. I know a little bit of piano. I play the drums, and that only happened by like necessity at my church, because years ago we had a drummer, and he was really good, and he joined the Navy, and off he went. And then we got another drummer, and coincidentally, he also joined the Navy. So he took off. So I was like, all right, well, I guess I'm gonna have to learn how to play drums now. So yeah.
That's
So
impressive. When I was 15, I was in that stage. Well, yeah, all the girls like guitar players, so I got me a guitar, acoustic guitar, and I learned how to play Jingle Bells and Folsom Prison Blues, and
there
then
you
I hung
go.
it up. That was about the extent of it. So, knowing how to play all these instruments, do you ever have an aspiration to make like an original song? You think in the
uh,
future?
Oh yeah, I do. And I actually have written songs. I have original songs
That's
that
crazy.
I've written and recorded and played. Actually, kind of a blast from the past. My wife and I, we used to have a band, and we played like a music competition, and we won like a 3-song EP. So it's pretty cool.
That's
So
amazing.
yeah,
That's
so we
crazy.
recorded it, and yeah, it's cool.
Hmm. So I've seen your wife in a few of your videos. I know she was in the Knee Hurts Now, correct? She was singing as well.
Yes,
Yep.
yes, she's a
What?
phenomenal singer.
Yeah. What does she think about this following you've gained and everything that's happened? From your internet presence.
Um, I think she's just as shocked by it as I am. Just like, who would have thought that one day throwing that fake mustache on would turn into all this?
Oh
Um,
yeah.
she loves it. She really uh I should say she loves it for me. She doesn't love it for her. Uh, she's been in the she's a great sport. Like I said, she's definitely an introvert. She'll do it and she'll have a good time. What's funny is she actually gets recognized more than I do because I have the fake
Oh,
mustache, so I take it off. It's like Clark Kent, but it's just her on the videos. And so, especially when that video first came out, she was working in the ER. She's a nurse in the ER, and dude, like people would bring patients in all the time, from all different cities, Phoenix guys from my department, other cities, and they're just like, "Oh, you got to hear her sing," and she's like, "Thanks, yeah, I love that." But so
Your wife and my wife sounds like they get along well because I we went to FDIC last year for the first
yeah,
time, and I was getting recognized, and she was like hiding her face. She was so embarrassed, and she's super introverted and does not want to be part of that.
yeah,
So sound very
yeah.
similar.
Stephanie, yeah, she loves it. She loves she does think it's really cool, and it's really cool for the kids to get to see it. I mean, it's funny because like they don't understand it, which is fine, and they're just like, "Daddy, is that your fire friends?" I'm like, "Yeah." They're like, "Man, you got a lot of friends." I'm like, "I know, yeah, And it's funny because it's one of those things. I'm sure you experience it too, like where running into people, um, they feel like they know you. They feel like they know me. They know everything about me. Like, oh man, this and it's I always it's I hate to forget someone. So I'm like
Yes.
just ripping through the Rolodex of things in my head, like, who is this person? Who's this person? And I'm just like, I'm at a loss. I'm sorry, what was your name again? And they're like, oh yeah, I realized you don't know me. I know who you are. You don't know me. I'm like, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm, I'm not trying to be rude, but you're talking to me like you know me, and I have zero clue who you are.
Yeah, 100%, man. Like driving back from Florida a few months ago, some guy recognized me in a Wawa gas station,
Yeah.
and I feel bad. I'm like, I don't know you, but thank you so much.
Oh yeah,
It's just kind of surreal.
it is.
Absolutely. Um, So we talked a little bit before we started recording here. You said you got four kiddos.
Mhm.
I've got three, so I have no excuse now saying I'm too busy for anything. You've got me beat. So, what's it like balancing all the content creation, full time career, family life? How do you do all of it?
Um, well, to start, I did it wrong for years. I was burning the candle at both ends for a long time. You know, starting out, it's exciting to start to grow and you see numbers increasing and all this stuff and and it's addictive. You want to make that next video. You want to see those numbers grow. What can I do next? What can I do next? And I remember when I was first like starting out, like I'm like, oh man, if I could just get 10,000 followers on this platform or 1,000 on this platform or this and that, like oh man, it would just be so great. And then it's one of those things where like it happens and you're like, oh, well, nothing changed. Okay. On to the next thing. And so it was kind of like, I, uh, I, I did it wrong for a while. Yeah. I really, I think I mixed up my priorities for a while where I was just like trying to, I'm trying to make as many videos as I can and grow that platform as much as I can. And obviously, as the platforms grow, money does come. I did it for a long time, not making any money, which and for me, it's more what I'm passionate about. It's more my like I love being a firefighter, but like comedy and music and making videos and all that and the creative side of things, that's definitely my passion. That's definitely my art, if you will. Um, and so, and then when money came, that was just kind of like a perk. But obviously, it's nice to see it, and so
Yeah.
you start to chase it a little bit, and then you realize when I started chasing it, that's really where I really felt like I was missing the mark. My wife would be like, because I'd be trying to think of an idea or writing something or doing whatever, and then kids pop in, Dad, and I'm just like snapping at them because of you're breaking up my thing or whatever. And then it's just kind of like her and I had a long talk about things, and it's just like, if it's gonna be all about trying to get that next hit video or trying to make, a certain amount of dollars, all this kind of thing, then not about it, because like me and the kids don't want that. We want you. And I was like, yeah,
Yes.
I mean, it was huge. That was a huge, it's, and you hear that and you just feel like, oh, I'm such an idiot. It's like right on the tip of the nose. How was I getting it wrong? But for me now, my priority is always, it's, my family first,
Hmm.
my family, my faith, my family, and then my job. And that's not to say that um, they like the effort that I put into those is also ranks in that. I try to put in the same effort.
Yeah.
Just the family's going to get the attention first. But I want to do good. I want to do well at everything that I trying to do. So yeah, for me, I just got to make sure intentionality had to come, because I am just like here, I'm there, I'm here, I'm there, I'm all over the place, ADHD to the T. And
Yep.
so it's kind of forced me to be intentional at blocking out time in my schedule, that to be creative, which sometimes that's kind of hard because creativity, doesn't always show up when you set out the time. It'll just pop into my head. I'm like, oh yeah,
Absolutely.
and I got to write it down, or I've got, notes on my phone of just like ideas and ideas. I mean, literally wake up in the middle of the night. I'm like, oh, write something down and then go back out. And so, um, but definitely for me, it's being intentional. I gotta put my phone like in another room. When I'm gonna be dad, I'm dad. When I'm husband, I'm husband. I don't want to be, you know, scrolling. And that's not to say I get it right every single day. There's
Yeah.
definitely
Yeah.
times where
Yeah.
I'm like, what am I doing? Oh gosh. Um, but for me, just to keep the priorities, because I don't want to chase after all this stuff and achieve it and then enjoy it alone. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's like,
Exactly.
and you see that with social media. You see that even in our jobs. You see guys that, the fire service is awesome. It'll give you everything. It's given me everything that I have in my life: the roof over our heads, the clothes on my kids' back, food on our table, all that stuff. But it'll also take everything if you let it. So it's like,
Oh,
yeah, you got to
that
just keep
that
those priorities in check.
100% real, man. I feel like I'm talking to a mirror right now. I've went through those same things. My wife, she's had to dial me back before, like, hey, you're focusing on that a little bit too much, and you're 100% right. And at the end of the day, my family is what matters most. So
Yeah.
it's all about balance in the end. And I think after doing this for a few years, I think I've managed to learn how to balance everything correctly, and I hope I continue to do so because, like you said, you could lose it all. And I've
Yeah.
seen a lot of guys in the fire service lose it all
Hmm.
because their priorities aren't right. So
For
that's
sure.
important for anybody to do.
Yeah.
So I know there in the beginning you talked about you just hit that 20-year mark, and you're a captain, correct?
Yeah.
Yep. So Looking back on those 20 years of service, what moment would you say changed how you lead on scene today?
Um, a moment that changed how I lead on scene today. Um, well, there's a couple. Like there's moments that changed me because of like a call we were on, and then there's also moments that changed me because I just had bad leadership exemplified
Yeah.
before me where I was like, I'm not going to be that. It was I feel like it was things that I learned are just as important as what not to be as what to be, you know. And but I think really the thing that I think really changed me as the leader that I'm in, and just kind of it was a humbling moment. Was so I was This was in, I know the day, it was June 2nd, 2018.
Wow.
I was in an acting position. I was acting. So I had tested, I had taken the captain's test. I had scored high enough. We had a captain who was off on injury, so they moved me into a long-term acting position, but we didn't have a position to be promoted into yet. We were waiting for a station to open up for my permanent role, but we got dispatched to a debris fire. We had just taken over this area. We had just taken over this area, so that's why. And I kept that's not the station was built. The station was there. This this old city had basically mismanaged their money and just went bankrupt, and it was going to go away. So our department swooped in, and
Mhm.
we absorbed them. Um, so anyway, I was waiting for that position to become official. Um, so I was in an acting role. I got moved up to that station. We were in between dispatch centers, because here in Arizona, in the Valley, we have the automatic aid dispatch center, which it's the Phoenix Regional Dispatch Center. They dispatch like 28 cities
Mhm.
and jurisdictions altogether. This particular place that we took over was on rural metros. Um, um, I mean, night and day difference between the dispatch centers. Um, Even some of the language they spoke was different. So it was just kind of a weird situation. But anyway, we got dispatched to a debris fire. It was June. It was like 115 that day, super hot. As we come out, the station is kind of set up above the town a little bit, so you can see across, and I can see smoke. So I'm like, all right, we've obviously got something, but it just looked like brush fire smoke, nothing big. So called on the radio, asked them to get resources coming up from south of us, which is still my department, just in the other system. So I had to like get on the radio and be like, contact Phoenix Alarm Room, and requesting them to send me, 3 engines, water tenders, tankers, battalion ride, all that stuff. You have to like piecemeal it, because if I was like,
Mhm.
give me the balance of a a WUI, which is a wildland urban interface assignment, they'd be like, what? you
Yeah,
know
yeah, yeah.
so you got to like ask specifically for the units. Anyway, get responding. I split my crew, so it's me and the engine. We were 4-man staffing, so me and the engineer and the engine. One of my firefighters is in the water tender. The other firefighter is in the brush truck. We're heading that way. We go through town. We go underneath the freeway. As we come underneath the freeway, I can see that the column of smoke has now changed. It's dark. It's black. It looks like it's either hit a vehicle or gotten into a structure. As we're coming up, I'm trying to clear the radio to let them know what I'm seeing, and he's just yakking. We're getting multiple calls. We're getting this. We're getting that. And really, I'm just like, shut up! I'm trying to tell you what I see.
Yeah. Yep.
And as we pull on scene to this house, and as we're getting there, we can see that it's impacted the rear of the structure, and there is a woman coming out of the front of the house, and we're doing that mad dash of getting into our structure gear from our brush gear, and I tell her, and she's like, she comes out, she's like, what's going on? And she's freaking out because all these trucks are pulling in with their license sirens on, and there's a sheriff that's pulling in too. And I said, ma'am, your house is on fire. Come with me. And she turned around, she screamed, she goes, oh my God, my babies. And she runs right back into her house. So we run to grab her. And I just asked the sheriff's deputy, I'm like, can you get her out of here? Like, I got to change. He's like, yeah. So I hurry up. I'm grabbing my stuff. The other 2 guys are pulling in. I'm clearing them on the radio, like, hey, get your structure gear on. We're going interior, whatever. And as this is all going on, my engineer, He's pulling the line for us, everything. So I get all my stuff on. One of the other firefighters comes in. He turns out, or they both do. Um, we get the hand line, and I'm kind of surveying the scene as I go in, you know, putting kind of my mental picture together of there's a like a play school playhouse. There's a jumbo trampoline. There's all these different things. So I'm like, okay, when she's saying my baby, she's probably meaning kids. So we go into this structure and immediately we understand what they would call in our system excessive storage conditions, which is hoarding. It's a hoarder house. So it's like, great. So Nick and I start making a push down to this back bedroom, because you can see the house is already filling with smoke. The fire load in that house was insane. So we're making a push back to this back bedroom, and we're getting pushed down our belly. Fire's already blowing out of this back bedroom, and that's where all the bedrooms are. And we're just trying to get through all of just the trash and garbage and everything. And you know that delay, and it's a pain in the butt. There's nothing fast about it, but we're working. Nick's trying to spray. I'm trying to get our way through. There's like a couple dogs, there's some cats, there's like this big macaw that's literally flying around our heads, just we're like, where are we right now? You know, and it's banking down, it's starting to get very hot, like already starting to push us onto our bellies because it's so hot. And I get radioed from my engineer, and he radios and he clears me and he says, there are no kids. The kids are not here. It's her pets. So I'm like, okay. And it's not that I don't want to save pets, but you know, I'm not. I think any one of us isn't willing to run away from, and isn't willing to not come home to our families over a dog or a cat. Is what it is. Sorry, or a macaw, exactly. But we're so we're still making advance trying to get this fire out, and it's one of those things too. This area that we are in, the second due truck at best is 20 minutes away. It's just kind of how it is in that specific area. Well, when I had cleared them, I didn't know that when I asked for all these units, they sent me one engine, one brush truck, one tender from a station that wasn't even the closest station. So it was like 30 minutes away or 25 minutes away, and we're in there. We're making this push. This area also does not have hydrants. It's got tenders. So, and it's one of those things for like the trigger points in your mind where this is one of the things that changed in me, was, man, we're doing all the right things. We got the right hand line in here. We got the right amount of water. It should be knocking this fire out, no problem. And it is not. It is not changing. It's not improving our conditions. If anything, it is getting worse. And at this point, we are on our bellies. It is hot. Nick is in front of me. He can see his shield doing this, all that stuff, and then it's getting just, almost blacked out. So I'm like, all right, reevaluating. What are we doing here? We have no ventilation coming. We have no backup coming. It's just us. We know that at this point, it's just stuff. We're out. So I said, Nick, let's back up. So we back out. We get to the door, and I'm like, hey, keeping that fire in check. And I look back and I can't see our fire truck because we were kind of in like a bowl. There's like a mountain area and it's kind of right at the bottom. Well, the wind shifted. And so the column had laid down across and it's just blowing across our fire truck. So this is black smoke. I can't even see the fire engine. I'm just like, what is going on out here? So come out, and the other firefighter is out there. He's got a line. He's trying to, and this, how, I mean, it's hard to even call it a house. It's it's a manufactured home. It sits on like a couple acres, and it is like, there's a transmission, there's a couch, there's a trailer, there's a boat, it looks like a junkyard that somebody lives in. There's just stuff everywhere, and everything is catching on fire, and it's kind of circling around. And now I'm concerned, like, shoot, this fire is getting away from us, and it's going to spread, and it's going to start a big brush fire and take in other houses. So declare defensive on the structure, because now we got to start protecting all the other exposures. So I pull Nick out. Nick's freaking shield is like this. Like, I'm like, okay, it was hot in there. And that was the worst part, I think, of that whole fire, was coming out and hoping to get that relief. And you just didn't get it because it was already 115 degrees outside. And you're just like, oh my gosh, it is so freaking hot. So we come out. Jason, the other firefighters, he's trying to just keep the trailers and the couches and all the other bull crap in check. Nick's trying to keep the structure, and see, that's where I learned a hard lesson. In our volume 2, in our standard operating procedures, it's like when you uh, identify something, or when you change in defensive, you identify what's defensive, you write it off and you protect exposures. But it's like, we're firefighters. We don't retreat. We put our flag in the ground and we're going to put this fire out. And this is what we do. And sometimes you just can't. It's just, you're behind the 8 ball from dispatch. And I learned that the hard way, because I just had this polling, but we can still get this, but we can still get this. We can still get this. And I kept having Nick just keep trying, keep putting that out, even though we're on the outside now, because it's just blowing, it's through the roof, all this crap. Like I said, it's the fire loading in that structure was insane. Um, Nick's doing that. Well, now we're running into water supply issue. Like, okay, our fire trucks hold 750 gallons of water. The water tender, I think at that one had like 2250. So we're at like 3,000 gallons of water, and we're scraping the bottom of the barrel. So now I'm like, all right, the engine's full. I got to send Nick away in that water tender to go get more water. So he busts out of there, and we're there. Um, we've had to change our bottles. I remember having to peel one person off at a time to go change your bottle. And so they go get a new air bottle, and you just like had to like pop the door open to the engine, put your head in to get a clean breath of air. Like, holy crap, like we're dying here. It's freaking hot. I can't get any clean air. Throw a pack on, throw a new bottle on, keep going. Anyway, send Nick away. We got 750 gallons of water. We're doing our best with what we got. And I'm also wondering, where the freaking hell is our relief? Where is our backup? And then the battalion chief sees the text of these coming in, trying to figure out what's going on. So he hops on the radio and just starts listening. And he's like, this doesn't sound right. So he clears our alarm room from where he's at, the Phoenix alarm room, and says, we need a 3-in-1 sent up to this area. It's called Black Canyon City. All right. So now we have help coming, very delayed. So as we are fighting fire and doing all this stuff, anyway, we start to run out of water. And now I'm thinking, like, this is not good. Now we are in exposure. We're in a bad spot. And I'm in my head, I'm like, do we just cut the lines and drive out of here? Like, what do we do? But I mean, we have nothing. There's nothing we can do, and we have no help. Well, then the second truck finally gets there. The BC got there very quickly, and he assigned them to go to the south side of the fire. We were on the north side of the fire. The wind was blowing it to the north. And I cleared him and said, we need relief. We are in exposure. We're almost out of water. I need that second truck to us, like to our position now. And he said, negative. I got to protect the structures to the south. And I don't think he understood, because where we were at and where he was at, he couldn't clearly see kind of the position and how things were laid out and how we were. So I don't think he understood that we were in a really, really bad spot because of how the conditions had changed. And I cleared him and I said, we need water here now. Otherwise our truck is going to burn. And he came back and said, I copy that. Do not let that truck burn. And I'm like, we have maybe 100 gallons of water. It is what it is. So I said, we're going to cut our lines and we're going to abandon our position. Copy that. So we go to cut our lines. Engineer jumps in the truck, start to back. I'm like, come on, come on, come on. And as we're coming out, there is a telephone pole that had caught on fire, and it had fallen, and the lines had draped right behind our truck, and they're live power lines. So now the truck is stuck. So I just look at my engineer, look at the other firefighter. I'm like, we gotta go. This sucks. We're gonna lose our truck. It is what it is. It's like the worst feeling, the worst realization in my life as a captain, as an acting captain, of, oh my God, I'm about to lose a fire truck. And get our gear. We grabbed whatever we could, rolled the windows up in the truck, and we just hoofed it over to this road. Threw our stuff on the road. Another truck got there very quickly. Those guys on the south side said, hey, we're able to pull our lines across this, because it's a really it's like mixed in brush and stuff. So it's not like a subdivision. I mean, it is like really urban interface to the T. I mean, you got people on multiple acres. There's wash and stuff, so they were able to pull their line across the wash and get to the truck. But unfortunately, the truck had already caught on fire because what happened was, so where we were at when we pulled in, we are kind of down in this bowl. There's a house here. We pull up our engine next to it. We got plenty of room, plenty of room. There's nothing in between us. It's just the driveway and all this stuff. On the other side of the engine, that was our problem, which at the time it wasn't a problem, was a shed. And then it's just desert. It's desert landscape. And one thing about fire and desert landscape and light flashy fuels is it moves very, very quickly. And all it took was a wind shift, which we had favorable wind. We had wind coming from the north to the south where we were at when we got there, it was blowing it away from us. And then, like I said, as I came out, I had seen that we had a wind shift and now it had laid down. Well, it caused the fire to spot across the road, and catch some of the brush, and then it burned back towards our engine. You know, everybody's focus is this way. Don't die coming from this way. And a tiny little spot fire spotted behind came back. And by the time it was recognized, it had already caught into that shed. We were also out of water. We were also trying to retreat. We couldn't retreat because the power lines. It was just the perfect storm of events. It caught that shed on fire. Of course, like the house, the shed was just loaded to the top full of pallets and just garbage basically. And so it had a pretty good fire loading, fuel loading, caught on fire. It caught the engineer's side of the truck on fire. And it sucked. Basically we lost our engine. I remember going, we met up, other trucks got there anyway. All that to say, a bunch of other trucks got there. We did get the fire out. It did lose that house that it started in. It spotted across the street. It caught another house that we were able to save that house. But it did lose a fire truck in the meantime. I did get transported to the hospital for rhabdo. Um,
Oh, wow.
yeah, myself and another firefighter got transported to the hospital. Like the whites of my eyes were like the red of that sign. I'd never experienced anything like that. I'd never been gassed like that in my life. I mean, we literally like, I couldn't ask for a better crew. Like we gave it all we got. And it sucked that day. It wasn't enough. But again, in hindsight, you look at things and you think like, could I have done this? Could we have, knocked the intensity out before we went interior real quick on the backside of that fire? But it's like, no, when you're presented, when you pull up with my babies and you look around and you see evidence of babies, toys and things like that, your mind is, we're going to get these kids. We're going to go make a grab. We're going to come and then we're going to put this fire out. And then when you get in there and you realize this is literally just a garbage dump under a roof and there's nobody in here. So now there's no life safety. And you know, I don't want to say it, but you're doing the place a favor by getting rid of that. You're doing the town a favor by getting rid of that place. You know what I mean? Not, and that's not what we were thinking, but it's like nobody's willing to die over a garbage dump. You know what I mean? And we're just like, all right, there's no life safety and there's nothing to save. We're out of here. Like this isn't but where your question was, what has changed me as a leader, that just gave me very hard trigger points of when I'm doing all the right things. And I think this is a big takeaway. When you're doing all the right things and it's still not working, um, that's a time to take a really hard look and reevaluate what it is you're doing and change things. You got to change something, change it early and make your hard decision and stick to it. I know, like I said, it was so hard to just be like, oh, man, well, we got this. We can still put this out. And I don't know. I just think it's always ingrained in us as firefighters that like, we don't leave. We win every battle. And sometimes you just can't because you just don't have the resources to do what you got to do. So you got to, my number one priority is everybody goes home at the end of shift, and not, and I think everybody has that same priority and I'm not about to break that rule over that place, but having that I think that really changed me as a leader. One, it humbled me because, I was getting ready to get promoted as a captain. I was freaking awesome. I'm on my stuff. I'm on my game. I got it. I know what I'm doing. Like I'm good at this. And you can be good at it and still have a bad day. And you can be good at it and do all the things right and still lose. And I felt like that was that scenario where in the moment I felt like I made every decision right. Looking back on it, I still stand behind the decisions that I made. It's just one of those things where, like I said, perfect storm. Resources weren't coming, communication breakdowns, uh, hoarder situation, lack of water, lack of air, all the things. And yeah, it was just a cluster, perfect storm of events that led to that. And I will never forget on the radio when I heard those guys say, we got water over here, but the truck burned. And I just remember being in the back of the ambo and I just let out a dang it. No. Yeah, it was just a dang it. Yeah. But I just remember hearing that I was actually getting an IV because I was like, I'm good. I'm not going. I'm not going. And the medic on the rescue was like, Cap, you need to go. You look like dog crap. And I'm like, no, 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 no. I'm good. I'm good. And then my engineer poked his head in, and he's not one to be like, and he was like, I could see the look on his face. He's like, Brent, you need to go. And I was like, ah. And then he took a picture of me on his phone and showed it to me. And I was like, oh gosh, like, yeah, I look like death. Yeah. So
Yeah, yeah. Before I got promoted, I precepted a lot of medic students, and that was my big thing. I said, you cannot be indecisive. You're going to be making so many important decisions, and like you said, you have to own up to it. You have to make those decisions. Now, don't get me wrong. You have to be educated and make educated decisions. You can't just be that person that thinks you're always right and then make dumb decisions. That's going to get somebody hurt in the end. But that's paramount. But man, that like you said, that scenario is one that you can't even make up, you
yeah,
know?
oh yeah, it's just yeah. And I think there was an element of pride in there too, of like, no, we're gonna get this. We're gonna get this. You know what I mean?
Oh,
We're
yeah.
we're gonna get this or whatever. And it's just like there's a reason why our SOPs are written. Like they're written because one, some of them are written in blood, and two, like
Mhm.
it's because it's real world experience. And that's the thing I tell people all the time. The best way to get experience is by getting experience. And there's a reason why it says, identify what's lost, write it off, protect exposures. And write it off doesn't mean keep looking back at it saying, I think we can. It means it's done. We're
Yep.
doing all this. Let this
On
crap
to the
hole burn
next.
behind us. We got all this. Just keep it in check, but we're good. And I just was just like, but we can. And we can bit me.
100%. Yep. So, you said you got a little bit over 20 years in. I assume you're gonna be close to retirement soon. You eligible
Yeah.
doesn't mean you're gonna retire. What do you have any plans for after retirement? Like, what do you wanna do?
Um, well, I am eligible now. I'm eligible at 20.
Okay.
Um,
Lucky dog.
yeah. Yeah, ours, yeah, I got grandfathered in. I was fortunate to get hired young. Um,
Mhm.
and yeah, so I'm eligible at 20 and we have the drop, so I'm good. But man, my youngest, because my plan is to do another 8.5.
Mhm.
So my youngest will be like 15. So I'm still gonna work. I'll do something, but it's gonna be one of
Oh,
those
yeah.
like just because it's fun kind of work. I
Mhm.
I would love to do something in video. But I'm also I don't want to sound like a tool, but I'm like handy. So I like to work with my hands. I like to build things, do things like that. So I've also tossed around the idea of like just doing like a handyman service or something like that. I got some buddies that own like handyman businesses. And I think even in retirement, like I don't want to sit around. Like I feel like
Oh,
that's
no.
that's when you
Yeah,
decline. So I mean, I
exactly.
want to work. I still want to work, with my hands, build things, do stuff like that. So um I like that. But yeah, I mean, you never know what's going to happen with all this video stuff. I really enjoy,
Mhm.
I've always enjoyed that, um, this whole adventure and things like that. So, I've got some buddies that work for other companies that they do like, um, video and things like that. So I'm just always like,
Okay.
hey man, in a few years, if you still need a guy, I'm your
Yeah.
guy, you know. I'm into hunting too, so I want to do a lot more of
Oh,
that.
nice.
Yeah.
What do y'all hunt up there in Arizona?
So we have like right now I have an archery deer tag, so like mule deer, coos
Okay.
deer, um, javelina, elk. Elk's the big
Hmm.
one. I mean, I love elk hunting. Um, what else we got here? Some people do the cranes. There's some duck hunting. But yeah, primary like the big things, a lot dove hunting, things like that. Quail, doves,
Okay.
quail, stuff like that. But the
Yeah, when I
big game is like mountain lion, bear, sheep. Like the bighorn sheep. Granted, you only get one of those in your life. And then yeah, elk, antelope, deer.
you ever get a mountain lion?
I have not. I have, they say if you're gonna get a bear tag or a mountain lion tag, you should just get them both because you're looking
Mhm.
for one. Typically, you're gonna run into the other. But I have not. I would do it. I'm just like I said, I'm fairly new. That just seems so sketchy to me because it's like,
Oh, yeah.
hunting something that's hunting you back, You know,
100%.
like
Yeah, my when I first met my wife, my father-in-law, he is one of the biggest hunters here in Kentucky you'll meet. Like, he lives for the stuff,
yeah.
and I had never been before, so I was like, I'm trying to get on this man's good side. I'm trying to marry his daughter, so I went out with him and, didn't get a deer the first time I went with him. I went with a buddy, got one with him, so I was like, "Oh, I'm a big hunter now, maybe
Yeah.
I'll impress him." Well, the man took me turkey hunting
Oh
next,
yeah,
and
we have turkey too.
he does not like to sit still, and he took me. I mean, this man's over 60 years old, and I was tired. He was taking me miles and miles walking, calling them. It was impressive, but we ended up getting my first turkey too, so that's the only 2 I've gotten so far, but I enjoyed it, but he tags out on everything every
That's
year. He
awesome.
is all about it.
That's awesome. Yeah, uh I haven't done turkey hunting. I really want to. I've got a buddy. He owns an outfitter out here. They do their deal is just sheep. I mean, they're
Mhm.
just going out there with the bighorn sheep. They're out there all the time. Ironically, his last name is Hunt, which is funny. but but he puts in the work. I mean, year round, he's just always out there. But yeah, he always his like he does all these hunts, but his favorite is turkey. And I'm just like, man, I gotta get out there and do some turkey hunting. And it
Yeah.
just looks like so much fun.
Oh, yeah, I enjoy it. It's a lot of work, but it's worth it in the end.
Were you doing shotgun
Um,
with turkey?
yep,
Yeah.
yep. So you were talking about earlier. I'm sure a lot of people recognize you from Fire Department Coffee. What has teaming up with those other creator firefighters taught you?
It has taught me that we are all the same. Uh, every department
100%.
hires the same guy. They just have a different name. There's the same players it's just a different, it's the same players, just a different ball field. It's the same thing.
Mhm,
Um, but no, it also has just shown me that, there's just a lot of good people out there that want to do a lot of good for people, and that's been the greatest thing it's what's been so cool is, we're from all over the country. We're from Florida, we're from Arizona, we're from Texas, we're from Illinois, you're from Kentucky, it's like from everywhere, but we're all the same. And it's like, you could not know each other and pick up like known each other for years because we're all doing the same thing, the same personality. But teaming up with the guys over there at Fire Department Coffee and anybody that I've kind of crossed path with it's just been awesome. Like I said, uh, we all get into this because at our core, like we want to help people, and we like to make people laugh and leave our mark on this world. And I think that the coolest thing that's been with Fire Department Coffee is to create content that just connects people across,
mhm.
whether you're a firefighter or not, just making people laugh, creating a moment that just kind of gives you an escape from reality, because we all know that real life can be heavy and it can be rough. But especially in dark moments, when people can have a moment where they can laugh, it lets them remember that even in the bottom, you're going to come out of it at some point. And you just kind of get that release and that relief. But it's been awesome to make the content, to also be able to present people with funds, with the Fire Department Coffee Charitable
Oh, yeah.
Foundation, and giving back to a portion of our sales for sick and injured firefighters. That's just been so cool to see, um actual impact on people. And it's been so cool. Like, I would have never imagined, like I said, back in 2011, when I threw this stupid fake mustache
Mhm.
on and made a video and the character was making fun of my captain at the time, and now it's turned in all these things. But a couple years ago, we were actually on one of our Fire Department Coffee trips, and or right before we'd gone on this trip to film, I had gotten a message when I was at home, and a guy had said, "Hey, been a big fan, love your videos, thought it was, think they're awesome." And he told me that, unfortunately, his career path as a firefighter had ended because he had got in a car accident. He was picking up his daughter from a school dance and they had got hit by somebody who ran a stop sign, and he was paralyzed. So I was like, "Oh my goodness." And so he was just like, "You're these videos," like I just said, he's like, "These videos um, help remind me that there's better days after these dark days. There's a light at the end of the tunnel. It's not always going
Mhm.
to be like this." Um, and so he was just saying thank you, and he was really cool. And I like reached out to him, and I was just like, "Hey man, thank you so much for sharing that with me, and I'm so sorry." And but I was like, "Hey, let me know, where you're at. I want to send you some stuff." And he's like, "No, no, no, that's not why I did this." And I was like, "Well, I want to, And so
Yeah.
he sent me his address, and it was awesome because he was in Wisconsin. And I was like, "Oh, well, shoot, we're about to be in Illinois." So I looked up on the map, and I'm like, "Oh, he's only 2 hours from where we're going to be." So I reached out to the guys, and I was just like, "Hey, when we're filming, in a couple weeks, I just got this message from this guy. Um, I'm going to do some Facebook stalking and see if I can't get in touch with his wife and see if we can't, surprise this guy and go give him stuff in person." And they're like, "Yeah, absolutely. We'll take the fire department coffee truck. Heck yeah, let's do this." So I was able to get in contact with his wife, and me, Jason, Randy, Natalie, Josh, we all, we loaded up, in the fire department coffee truck, and we went, and we brought him coffee and shirts and all that stuff, and we drove. And this guy, he owns like a bison ranch, which was awesome. And went there, and we like knocked on the door, and his wife answered, and she brought us in. She's like, "Babe, someone's here to visit." And he like turns around in his chair, and he's like, "You gotta be kidding me." And then we were just like, "What's up, dude?" And so we hung out with him for an hour or so, and like just, he told us a story, and then he showed us around his farm, and it was just a good dude. But it was so cool to be able to just do something as simple as just saying hi, and you know shaking hands, and
Oh,
kicking back for a couple hours. And now we still keep in touch, and it's just been really, really cool to be able to have opportunities like that. And that's just one of the opportunities. We've had multiple of
yep.
visiting people in hospitals, or even just FaceTiming, things like that.
Mhm.
It's been awesome. And I'm humbled uh to be able to do that, and to, be able to make somebody's day, all because, I freaking threw
Oh, yeah.
threw on this guy, yeah.
Yeah, man. It's crazy to think about because, people like you and Jason, I look at you guys like the OGs. I Y'all are a main reason I am who I am. Y'all are the main reasons that I wanted to start making content. So, if there's anybody watching right now that, they're like, "Hey, I'd like to do things like this," what would be your one piece of advice for them to get started?
Um, do it. uh, do I what I would say, and I think this is where what's so awesome about having wives that support us in what we do. They keep us grounded, and they keep us, they keep it focused on why we started what we are doing. I would say, do what you think is funny. Um, I always post the videos that I think are funny. I make the videos. Honestly, I make them for myself first. Like
Mhm.
I come up with a funny idea, and I'm like, I think this is funny, so I'm going to make this video, and I'm going to post it. Um and I feel like staying true to yourself comes through, and also it just makes the whole experience a lot more enjoyable, because if you're chasing what other people think is funny, it's very stressful. Then it becomes a job, and then it becomes work. And for me, this is just jokes I've always made my whole life, working on the fire truck and whatever. And now I just like put them into videos and stuff like that, and put them out there. And I know, and just be realistic. Not everyone's going to hit. Not everyone's going to miss either. You're going to have ones that take off. You're going to have ones that miss. But if you think that they're funny, then put them out there. Stay true to yourself. Remember, I would say, know your identity, like know who you are. I say this for people getting into the fire service too, in general, is know who you are. Because for me, um, I know who I am. I know where my worth comes from. You know, I'm a Christian. I believe in Jesus Christ. I'm a husband. I'm a father. Those are the things that make Brent Brent.
Mhm.
And then I happen to be a firefighter, and I happen to wear a fake mustache and make funny videos. But I know that if I was to get that twisted, if I was to be, I'm the firefighter who happens to be a husband, who happens to be a father, who happens to make videos, or I'm a content creator. That's what I am, you know, and I just happen to do all these other things. What happens when I have a career ending injury?
Mhm.
Now my foundation, who am I, is all shaken. What happens when social media goes away? Oh my gosh, nobody knows me, blah, blah. Like, no, like my foundation, I know my identity, and I say that because especially for the content creating, um, the comments can get rough,
Oh,
and
yeah.
you just have to, and honestly, like, some of the greatest entertainment is just reading the trash talking that people
Mhm.
say about me. I just know that that's not where I get my worth. Most of the people don't even know me, so you can just say whatever,
Mhm.
and they get big mad and they say all kinds of horrible things, and I just ignore it. And the cool thing is now, like, the following has grown enough that, like, a lot of times I don't even have to say anything because you guys are amazing. Like, people will, like, my followers and stuff, they'll defend for me, and I'm just like, oh man. But I would say, yeah, know who you are, so that way your priorities stay straight. Um, I would say do it. I'd say do what you think is funny. Don't go after and don't chase the numbers. Don't chase the numbers. Don't chase the money. That stuff will come. It's brick by brick. I mean, I made content. I've been making content since 2011, and it wasn't until like 20. Granted, I also didn't really understand it. You know, I made my knee hurts now in 2011. It blew up. I mean, absolutely
Mhm.
blew up overnight. I gained thousands of subscribers. I was like, holy crap, what just happened? Because my most viewed video before that had like 40 views or 100 views or something like that, you know,
Yeah.
and it was
Yeah.
something random. Um, and then I went away for a year, and then I made I'm
Mhm.
Salty and I Know It, and that blew up and did all this stuff. And then I went away for a year, and then I literally made one video a year for like 7 years. And then it was like 2018, I started to get consistent doing short form,
Mhm.
quick videos, whatever. And then I just started going, and the following just started, brick by brick, just little by little started
Yep.
going. Um, Obviously, I've slowed down a lot because also when I started, I didn't have children. I have 4
Yeah.
children and my wife, and
Yep.
I love them dearly. I wanna stay married, and I don't want my kids to hate me. I don't wanna abandon them.
Mhm.
So,
Oh, yeah.
I post honestly, I try to do 4 times a month, but there's plenty of months where I'm like 2 times a month, and it
Yep.
is what it is. It's just where my life's at right now. Um, but I love to, and I'm fortunate enough to have a big enough catalog of videos that I can repost old stuff, and
Oh, yeah.
it's the audience constantly changes, so old stuff is new
Mhm.
stuff to some, you know,
Mhm.
so, but yeah, I would say the big thing, do it, have fun with it, remember why you do it, remember who you are. Don't chase the numbers, don't chase the money, because when you start chasing numbers and chasing money, that's what robs you of your joy.
Oh, yeah.
So
100%.
yeah.
100%. Well, I think we're about at the end here. I just want to say thank you so much for coming on. It's been an awesome conversation. I've learned so much. It's been a pleasure. Do you have anything in closing you'd like to tell the audience?
Um, I'm the worst at this. People ask this, I'm like, yeah. Don't take yourself too serious. Life's serious enough as it is. Have fun. Remember, some of the funniest things I've ever heard is jokes about me, people making fun of me. So just have a sense of humor. Don't get easily offended. Remember, if you do get offended, literally nothing happens.
Mhm.
I always say that.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, thank you guys so much. Thank you so much for having me. Um,
Thank you.
I This has been a blast. I enjoy watching you and watching you come up and come through everything. I mean, you're racing up,
Thank you,
dude. It's
man.
awesome. I think it's awesome what you do with the books and stuff. I think that's so cool. Um, I'll probably pick your brain some on that too. But
Hey,
yeah, man.
yeah, holler at me.
Yeah, dude. Appreciate you having me, and it's
Well,
been fun.
thank you so much. And thank you to Jims for making this podcast a reality. Stay tuned. Every week will be a new episode. So I'll see y'all in the next one.